Hello and welcome to today's video. So this time we're going to be taking a look at the tail end series in my vintage Pan book collection. The sort of the big thick chunky ones, the E's, the H's, the T's and a few other little bits and bobs which make up the very tail end run of my vintage Pans. So sit back, relax and let's get to it. Okay then, so we're going to start off with an odd C book. Now this is, as you know, Pan sorted their catalogue by number and price. So this C one was 8 shillings or 40p, and date-wise it comes in at 1970. So right on the very cusp of sort of my cut-off point for most vintage paperbacks, which is when ISBN started to get used. So you can see down the bottom there is the start of an ISBN. So this is a Gavin Maxwell, Lords of the Atlas. It's the only sort of C one I've got, and there are others in that series, but they're sort of past my cutoff. So now we're looking at the E's, and the price point on the E's was 11 and 6 in Australia. What's the UK price point? Not 100% sure. We'll have to look that one up, but this is quite a famous book, actually. It's Encyclopedia of Murder, Colin Wilson and Pat Pittman. And I believe this is still in print today. It's quite a renowned book. Once again, this is one of the ones that I got signed by Colin Wilson when I did a signing with him back in the 90s. This one's got a little errata slip in as well. But yeah, really nice book. And that's E number 1. Then E number 2, another big thick one here. Look, it says 7 and 6 right on the front there. So I guess the E price was the 7 and 6. So Herman Wouk, Youngblood Hawk. Yeah, 11 and 6 in Australia. Big thick book here for E number 2. But not the biggest we're going to see today. 1964, this one. This is one I got fairly recently, E number 3. It's by Anthony Burgess. Before he wrote Clockwork Orange, it's like a 3-in-1. The Malayan trilogy. I have only ever read Clockwork Orange, and there is the Pan first edition of that one, which we've seen in a previous video. And it's a shame Pan had Burgess for a long time, and then he moved over to Penguin. I wonder what happened. If he fell out with Pan, or if he thought Penguin might give him a better publicity. I don't know. E number 7 then, Pamela Frankow, Slaves of the Lamp. The fascinating successor to Sing for Your Supper. Fascinating, eh? So far I've not recognised any of the cover artists. This is E number 8, The Three Musketeers. It's a classic. This is part of Pan's Bestsellers of Literature series, and this one has been signed by cover artist John Rains. I was lucky enough, I forget when it was now, but Tim, who runs the Pan Collectors website, ticket.net, Tim and I went down to Falmouth together, and we met John Rains, and I had a few books that he'd done covers for in my collection. I remember seeing the original of this one as well, and I wonder what he wanted for that. I think he was in the mark of a few £100 per piece, which was a bit out of my league at the time. But this is, out of all the covers, this one for the Three Musketeers is one of my favourites. If I can dig out the photos of us visiting him, I'll pop them on the video now. E number 9 then is J.B. Priestley's Lost Empires. A photograph cover on this one. Plenty of backstage excitement and womanizing, even a murder. Here's another one in that Bestsellers of Literature series, also been signed by John Raines. Lorna Doone. UK, 7 and 6pence, 37.5 pence. And another one, The Cloister and the Hearth, Charles Reade. No, he signed this one twice. I guess he was smudging a little bit at the top there. Bit worn, this particular copy, but that's all right. E16, that's actually slightly out of place. It's E16 and then E18. This is E22, Alec Wall, Island in the Sun. That's a nice jacket. It does look like they're in the sun, doesn't it? A heritage of passion in an island where the blood never cools. Sort of got a matte finish to that cover. It's a little bit unusual. So this is perhaps the biggest pan I think they ever published, which is this. So William Shearer's The Rise and Fall of the Third Reich. So it's 12 and 6. It's almost 1,500 pages, and this was H number 1. Absolute beast of a book. Certainly at the time, it was the sort of history, the definitive history of Hitler's rise to power and eventual decline at the end of the Second World War. Obviously, it's, many books have been published since then, but this was at the time, this was the book to read, and apparently it is absolutely fantastic. If that's what you're into, a bit of history. So it's H1. H2 is this, another big thick one, Alexander Worth, Russia at War, 1941 to 1945, another big thickie. And this is, out of all the 3 H books, because I did 3, this was the last one I had to get, 12 and 6 in the UK, obviously non-fiction again. Then the third one's quite interesting. It's the classic biography of John F. Kennedy. This was H number 3 by Theodore Sorensen. So this is quite interesting. Although I've only got this one copy of it, you may remember a few months back I did release a video showing a bit of pan cover art that I got. And I got it from a dealer in Cheltenham. And I believe he's still got the original artwork for this exact pan book, but he wanted quite a bit of money for it, and I believe this is the sort of thing that in America would go for quite a few pounds. I do also remember back in the early 90s there was a toy dealer called Jim Stevenson, sadly departed now, but he had an original pan dump bin display for this very book with the header and the pockets where the books would go in, and I remember seeing it and thinking, oh, that's quite nice, and he wanted £60 at the time. And that was a bit much, more than I wanted to really pay for that one. But he'd sold it when I asked, only a couple of months later, have you still got that pan display? That dummy said, no, it went straight away to the States. So someone's bought it. So I'm going to make a little bit of room there, and then we'll crack on with the rest of them. This is another H series one, but it's not got no number, so it was published after they started numbering them. And this is a tail end one, same price point of 12 and 6, and it's The Fall of Paris, The Siege and the Commune, 1870 to 1871. Don't know much about that at all, that little period of history, but I'll pop that one on top. Now the next one then, we're going to be starting on the T's. So these tea books were slightly thinner, and these were 6 shillings a pop, which is 30p in today's money. And this is one by Alan Sillitoe, author of Saturday Night and Sunday Morning. Got a cover by Oval. The Key to the Door. Bit of a beaten up old copy, this one. 1963. Then we've got T10, BRM, illustrated. Book on British motor racing. It's a non-fiction, so there's some pictures and stuff in. Quite a nice little copy of that one. T10. T13, a bit bigger here, Lloyd C. Douglas, author of The Robe, The Big Fisherman. So T16 here is an Angelique book. Angelique in Love. Sir Jean Golan. Now these were so popular for Pan, weren't they? Can't see any sort of artist mentioned on that one for the cover. But these were very, very popular. There's quite a few in the Angelique series. I'm not sure how many, but this must be a fairly late one, I'm guessing. They list 5 in front, so this is at least number 6 in the range. Looks a little bit like Ingrid Pitt, doesn't she? That's T16. T17. Now I remember it's another non-fiction history book here, A Holiday History of Britain. It's a lot thinner, but it's because the price point was there, the 6 shillings price point. Well worth carrying in the car. Look at it. This is pretty much the last of the main run series of Pan books that I've got to show you, because after this, all we're really left with that I've never shown at all on the channel is the Pan Pipers. So we'll have a look at those in the next video, and also some unusual sort of Pan bits and pieces, promo stuff and what have you. T1024 then, Lloyd C. Douglas, author of Magnificent Obsession, Forgive Us Our Trespasses. Okay, it's the same guy, isn't it, Lloyd? The same as the Big Fisherman. That's T24. Now this one's unusual. This is T26, and it's in a B format, which is much larger than a traditional A format paperback. So you see, it's got the extra height and extra width. The Young Wife's Cookery book, published by Pan, but from the Food Information Centre. And these are the sorts of scarce Pan books. You'd only ever pick them up if you collected a publisher, such as I do for Pan books. And you'd either have a real job finding them, because in 1967, or they'll turn up like really nice condition like this one is, or they'll turn up absolutely hammered, and thankfully that one's turned up in pretty nice condition. Now we've got T31. This is another one which is part of the bestsellers of literature, but it's a bit thinner, so it's on a different price point and consequently not part of the previous E series. Thomas Love Peacock, and this has got 4 stories in, once again signed by John Rames, cover artist. Very nice. T33, a Doris Leslie, Paragon Street. Once again, it's got that sort of slightly non-glossy, like a matte finish on the cover. I don't know if that was particular to those sorts of books. It's quite unusual. It's different to a normal book jacket. T40 then. Francis Chichester, quite a famous sailor. Along the Clipper Way. This is a big one, wasn't it? The Lonely Sea in the Sky. Turns up all the time, that one in second-hand lots. T41, the complete Patience book. What an interesting deck of cards, isn't it? Basil Dalton. 3 best-selling patient books in 1 volume. This one looks in excellent condition for 1967. photo cover. Quite a collectible subject, that, books on card games, you know. T42, another J.B. Priestley, Bright Day. We've seen Lost Empires earlier, hadn't we? T44, another photograph cover for Clifford Irving, The 38th Floor. Really nice bright jacket, that, isn't it? With the jigsaw pieces made up of the different flags, with a few bullets on top. Good stuff. You have to wonder, would that have been cheaper to produce than ask an artist to come up with a jacket, a painted jacket? T47, Julian Gloag, A Sentence of Life, by the author of Our Mother's House. Another sort of jigsaw cover, actually. Still that £6 price point there. This one's got a little bit of foxing around the edges. Very dusty along the top. This one hasn't been through the treatment, which probably means I've had it quite some time in the collection. T number 50 is another Colin Wilson. It's a really sharp copy of this one, Ritual in the Dark. Another one which I believe you can still buy today. Colin Wilson really was quite a name back in the 60s and highly prolific. But this one does look like it's almost unread, so very, very nice. Once again, this one I got signed when I met Colin Wilson at a event that I organised in Plymouth back in the 90s. I think it was about, it's difficult to say, but I think it was about 92 or 93, something like that. So this next one is a tea book. You see it's got the T down below there, but it's not part of the numbered series. It's just because it's got that £6 price point. And this is Hornblower and the Atropus. This was one that Pan still had the rights to, whereas all the rest were with Penguin. So if you're looking to get the Hornblowers in paperback first, you need to pick up that Pan one there. Here's another one in the T series. This is the first ever Flashman. I'm a big fan of the Flashman books. They are, or the Flashman papers, you could call them. They really, really are great. I mean, there's only 10 in the series, but they are so, so good. Bit of a womanizer. The joke was, of course, that when they were first published, they were published as if it was fact. It was recently, discovered historical memoirs. They were so accurate. MacDonald Fraser was merely putting them together. And it fooled a few of the reviewers. They actually believed that the books were actual fact. Quite hilarious. Next, another T then, the Gothic Line, Douglas Orgill. This is another military history title. Looking at the Allied offensive in Italy, autumn 1944. Now the last one, you might be seeing double, because it's the last Chronicle of Barset. It's a real famous one by Anthony Trollope. You see the sides of it, and this one is one of those ones that came out of the time machine. Look at the condition of it. It's mint. Minty mint. 10 and 6. It's about as good as you're possibly going to get. Look at that. It's just pristine. That's just come off the shelf. But I've got a second copy because before I found that one, I had another one which, once again, we'd taken to John Raines and he'd signed it across the top. Even this one isn't bad, to be honest. But compared to the other one, it's just incredible. Look how white it is. Just fantastic. Now, as I said, for the main runs of Pan books now, that is pretty much all of them, bar the miscellaneous Pan Piper series. So we'll take a look at those next month, and also potentially a few miscellaneous Pan promotional bits and bobs I'll tack on the end as well. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed looking through those last few tail end series Pan books. If you have, do please give the video a thumbs up, and do please consider subscribing if you've not already for regular vintage paperback coverage. I shall look forward to seeing you again very soon. Bye.